we're scheduled at 10:15 to go live, so people are going to be really excited when they see us an hour early.
My bad.
It's all good. Shit happens. Oh man, this
Oh
is
shit.
an interesting show that we have ahead of us, man. That's what I'm taking away from this. This show is just full of information and intrigue, and I'm curious to learn some things about what you've been talking about.
There is everything is very wild right now, and Gruden is an absolute scapegoat. If conspiracy theorists wanted to hop onto something right now, this should 100% be it, because the NFL may be as corrupt as the government. There is no way that Gruden, in their 10-month investigation, is the only fall boy, although that is what it's shaping up to be.
Dude, it's intense. Like, you know what? Let's get started with the show. Let's go ahead and kick this thing off. Welcome on into Washington Intervention. Oh man, unfortunately, Ryan had some work stuff he had to take care of. Maybe he ends up hopping in, if he has a little bit of time, but that's probably not going to happen. It's probably you're stuck. You're stuck with Mark and myself. We're here to talk about all things Washington football, but primarily we are here to discuss some of the stuff that's been going on with Gruden and how the Washington football team is tied into it. We're going to review a little bit of the Saints game, of course, and what happened. We don't want to talk about that because, like Mark said prior to the show, before we went live, it was a disaster. And then actually look into this Chiefs game, because I believe we actually do have a way of pulling one out up against the Chiefs. So let's go ahead and kick it off first, Mark. What's going on with Gruden? What's the news? If people have been living under a rock, what's happening right now?
Well, Daniel Snyder frustrated a heck of a lot of people in last year. It goes back a year, and if not longer, way longer, actually. I personally believe that the name change itself has really not a lot to do with people calling for it as much as Dan Snyder frustrated his co-owners, and they went after him. And they are the ones that forced the name change. If you remember, FedEx was one of the first corporations to say that they are no longer going to basically stand by the Redskins. And that got everything going. Now, obviously, one of the co-owners is the owner of FedEx. So that's how this ball got rolling. Now, the investigation, everything with Bruce Allen, Dan Snyder has frustrated a lot of people, except from what it looks like right now, he is untouchable. They spent a 10-month investigation looking into Washington football organization, and the only thing that has been released right now is emails from John Gruden. And granted, they are terrible, and he deserves everything he's got coming to him right now. But there's way more. There has to be way more. Even if you read the New York Times article yesterday, they said that Sean McVay was attached to these emails. I don't need to read the emails to know who, was in the wrong, but I just want to know who was in those emails, because Sean McVay wasn't saying, "Oh no, John, you're wrong. Just be quiet." There was no way that he's like, "You're a bad man." So I think there's other names, outside of just Sean McVay. How about the owner of the Raiders? How about the owner of, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? These are owners that are all linked together, that have had ties with Gruden for many years, Bruce Allen for many years, and who knows how deep it could get. So conspiracy theorists can really, get something going. Why not Jerry Jones? Him and Snyder are friends. Who knows how deep this could actually go in the organization.
Dude, that's a lot. That's a lot. This is fully loaded. And obviously you brought up the fact that John Gruden, is the scapegoat. He might not be the only one. He might be, there might actually be other people tied to it. So, I mean, is Snyder involved in these emails? Where was Bruce Allen? Because Bruce Allen was the one that he was actually emailing, right? Gruden was actually emailing at the time. And then you sent me a message or a text earlier with a screenshot of something. what was that about? Like, it was.
So the NFLPA is basically saying, okay, you went after one man in a 10-month investigation. Bring all the emails out because they know there's more. They know there's more to it. How many people? Who knows? But truly, I think Roger Goodell knows of everything, and I think it is going to be kept as airtight as possible. They are going to try and find another story. Hopefully, Urban Meyer goes to another nightclub. They need something to change the story fast because I don't think that they let this out. Mainly because I think it's multiple owners. I think it's not just Dan Snyder. I think Mike Davis is not a good guy either, so I think he's involved. The Glazer family. I think these guys are all friends. They are all a good old boy group, and they all want to make each other money. So they are not. If there's other owners involved besides Dan Snyder, this is not getting released at all. No chance.
No, I mean it's a tricky situation. It's something that we don't know a lot about, so we can only speculate, as to where the conversations are going behind the scenes and what's happening. I mean, dude, like this could bring down a lot of people in the NFL as a whole if all the exposure happens. But it's interesting to know why they targeted John Gruden and all this, because John Gruden, I mean, he's tight with a lot of owners. He's tight with a lot of people that represent major teams. And so why was he the one that was targeting this versus a guy like Dan Snyder, who most of the league ends up hating? It's kind of crazy how they're targeting a coach who signed a major long-term contract and hasn't been the best coach, although this year he's doing a lot better than previous years have given credit for. But like, why is John Gruden the target versus somebody like Dan Snyder if there is more information out there?
Well, technically Dan Snyder doesn't use email. Okay.
Really?
So he does not. And this is, as dumb as he may be, that may be one of the smartest things he's ever done. But he doesn't use email. And that goes back to, I saw an article that said back in 2014, he doesn't use email. So good for him.
How does that happen?
But he's got people. He doesn't have to use email. He doesn't have to, he's got people to do anything for him. But I think Gruden just made it the easiest for them to attack. His emails were as damning as possible. I mean,
yeah, they weren't good.
No, I mean you can't go after Roger Goodell, DeMaurice Smith, then President Barack Obama, Joe Biden. Every single person he could have attacked, he went after. It
was bad. Like the stuff was like completely uncalled for. It's absolutely terrible.
But I mean, the New York Times article did say. Now, the New York Times article did say that Sean McVay was actually attached to this email. Okay, so this is back when Sean McVay was with the Washington organization. How many other people were with that Washington organization that are now head coaches?
Catherine in the chat, he doesn't email because he doesn't listen. He just sends memos.
I mean, he doesn't have to. Again, he doesn't. He doesn't listen.
TPS reports.
Yeah, but you have Shanahan, you have LaFleur, you have McVay. How many other coaches were in the organization that are all over the place? So just talking coaches, you know what I mean? It's going to get deep.
All right, so let's go ahead. Let's get away from this until we get some more information, and let's talk about what happened this past week because it was not pretty. The Saints manhandled Washington. It looked bad from a quarterback perspective. I mean, Taylor Heinicke was missing wide open guys. We weren't doing much with the ball in our hands, like when it came to creating yards. So the offensive skill position players didn't look great. The play calling was suspect at best, in my opinion. I mean, defense, that's a whole different animal. Let's focus on the offense first, and let's break down a few things on the offense to talk about it. Let's start out with Cam Jordan and his somewhat dominant performance when it came to creating pressures and actually getting to the backfield and forcing Taylor Heinicke to have missed throws from time to time. Did you like what you saw out of Cam Jordan? Is it something that you were disappointed with, something that you were happy with the performance of our offensive line? What are you thinking?
Cam Jordan's one of the best defensive linemen in football, so you have to expect that he's going to create pressure and he's going to get there. I think they contained him. I don't think Cam Jordan was the X factor as to Taylor Heineke missing on throws. So did he create pressure? Yes, but I don't think our offensive line did a horrible job considering the fact that he's a top 10 defensive lineman in the NFL. You have to expect that. I will go on to say that as bad as our defense played, I think our offense is the one that let our defense down the most this week because of the turnovers our defense actually created, which they had two, which is fantastic compared to most weeks. And they actually made the Saints punt the ball 5 times.
Woo! Let's go.
For our defense to get off the field 7 times, our offense has to do something at some point in time to help them.
Yeah, and we did not do that. It was an absolutely atrocious performance by the offense. I mean, sure, there are plays that were made to an extent, but I'm sitting here and I'm going into the box score as we speak, and it's just not pretty. Like, there was just nothing done there on offense where it was like, damn, like we might be on track. We might, be on the right pace. I mean, Taylor Heineke, less than 50% completion rate with 2 interceptions. Antonio Gibson, he did get 2 touchdowns, but 3 yards per carry isn't impressive at all. And we're running them into a brick wall time and time again, which I hate. Like, I hate that. Like, get him on the outside, and he does great every single time. Get him sitting there running behind a brick wall, running into a brick wall, and we're literally going to kill our future in terms of keeping him healthy and on his feet, which I think is crucial to our development, especially when Ryan Fitzpatrick comes back. Our receiving game wasn't much better. Adam Humphries got open, but you better get open up against the slot in the Saints, because the Saints in the slot are absolutely atrocious. DeAndre Carter had a good game, but I'm not like, not like 3 or 4 for 62. Like, yeah, that's great for our 4th string receiver. Curtis Samuel did nothing in his second game back.
And got hurt again.
And got hurt again. It was ugly from the skill position players. It was ugly for Taylor Heineke, and it was ugly for our running game as a whole. Is there something that we need to take away from this performance, or do we want to go ahead and move on to the defensive side of the ball?
My problem, you knew that Gibson was only going to rush for 3 yards a carry. The Saints' run defense is very good.
Yeah, they are dominant.
They are very good. Like, going into that game, you knew that they were going to do that. You knew that they were going to stop the run. I don't hate that Antonio Gibson got 20 carries. I think he should get 20 carries a game.
Yeah, I think he should.
Why the hell hasn't he been getting 20 carries for the last 3 weeks? Blows my mind. But I don't understand why they didn't use that and use those 3 yards of carry to our advantage and then go into the play action. Use the play action. Keep forcing the run to get the play action going. And I don't know why J.D. McKissic only had 1 carry and 2 targets. That blows my mind, especially with Gibson hurt. If Gibson's hurt like he was, create a run game, so to say, with the short passes with McKissic out of the backfield, like they did in Pittsburgh. Go to the quick pass with McKissic out of the backfield and just try and spread them out a little bit and just create, because we didn't have the weapons this week. You knew going into the game that Curtis wasn't 100%. Terry McLaurin was going to have Marshawn Lattimore against him. Logan Thomas, no De'Ami Brown. Create something with your next best weapon, and that's McKissic, and they didn't do that at all. That's the one thing that bothers me about the offense this week, is more so than Heineke's interceptions, because he's a great backup. He's not a good starter in the NFL. Why didn't they utilize McKissic at all this week?
I mean, we had Antonio Gibson get 3 carries on the outside, and those 3 carries resulted in something like 6 yards per carry. Like, when he gets on the outside, he's fine. Like, get him on the outside more often. Stop running him up the middle on every single play. I understand that our strong point is our guards and our center, and like, we're trying to create the smash mouth defense, but it's really not. Like, our strong suit is getting Antonio Gibson in space, and we've seen what happens when Antonio Gibson gets in space. He's 230 pounds. He's going to be up against 190-pound cornerbacks. Why aren't you using a 40-pound speedster, by the way? I'm sorry, a 230-pound, but a 40-pound advantage. While Antonio Gibson has the speed, he's a bowling ball.
Yeah.
Like, get him up against some pins and let him go knock some guys out. Like, don't run him up against guys that are 100 pounds heavier, 200 pounds heavier than what he is. And he's a big dude.
Yeah.
Like, get him in space. And it's so frustrating to watch every single week. All right. So
I'm with you.
let's hop over to the defensive side. I don't want to bash for too much because I've already insulted the play calling on every single show that we've had so far. But let's go ahead and hop over to the defensive side. We had Cole Holcomb, 7 tackles. Landon Collins was all over the place
Interception
as well.
Cole Holcomb with an interception.
Yeah. Landon Collins felt like he was all over the field for the most part, although he did struggle with some of the coverage issues of the running back coming out of the backfield. I believe that was him. We had some more pressures this week, and Deron Payne, Chase Young, they both got to the quarterback. I mean, I want to see 3 sacks a game from this team on a regular basis, but I think getting 2 sacks up against, this somewhat defensive or this decent offensive line is a improvement so far. So are we going to continue to see, an improvement from this defensive line and us get to the quarterback? Or do you think it's just because it's Jameis Winston and that's what happens,
No, I think they're gonna continue to improve. They have to, I mean, there's too much talent not to continue to get better week in and week out. But the secondary let them down 100% this week. You can't give them 360-yard plays. You can't have Landon Collins as that deep middle. You can't do it. You just can't.
Coverages are
do it.
Killing me.
Yeah, I mean, look, Ron Rivera. You can't really listen to him in the post game, but you listen to him the second day. To today's was it today? Today's Wednesday. Yeah, his interview he did today, and he says, "Look, guys, I mean, we played a heck of a lot better on defense, especially up front. Cole Holcomb was good. He goes, but we're 2 plays away from winning that game. Now, I can't take those 2 plays back, but we're 2 plays away from winning that football game. The problem is we keep having those 2 plays week in and week out, and that's the issue that has to change. He's not going to make a change with Del Rio. He's sticking with his guns on that. I know, I know, but you look at a performance like Cole Holcomb this week, and even Cole Holcomb last week, but it was 2 weeks ago where Cole Holcomb against the Bills was the worst player on defense for us. You know what I mean? It's guys like that where, we have 1 week where William Jackson looks great, and then we have 1 week where he looks terrible. We're not playing as a unit, and we're going to continue to say that until things finally start to come together. The problem is we're going into Kansas City this week.
Yeah, I mean, overall, Cole Holcomb actually struggled big time. He did make plays and he was all over the field, but that's because he kept on getting beat. PFF actually has him registered with 6 targets and 4 of them being completions for 70 yards. Alvin Kamara was having his day. He was having a day.
Yeah, that's Alvin Kamara, though. Why is Alvin Kamara and Cole Holcomb matched up?
They shouldn't be, but it's because we don't have a guy that's talented enough to cover the running back. I mean, if there's anybody that should be doing it, it's our
Cameron
rookie.
Curl.
Oh, well, Cameron Curl too, I guess. But, I mean, Cameron Curl still wasn't – I mean, yeah, he had a decent game, but he wasn't great. We need to get some of these young guys up to speed. Like, Cleek Hudson, he's fine and all, but, like, why aren't we getting more snaps for some of our younger guys on a regular basis who we know are going to be studs? Jamin Davis shouldn't be out there on 13 snaps on defense.
What bothers me is, Rivera did say, he goes, look, it wasn't in our game plan to play Jamin this week, basically, which really takes a shot at his coaching, personally. Him and Del Rio's coaching, considering they're supposedly linebacker gurus. But he was your first-round pick. They're concerned about him calling plays. Well, from what I hear and from what was said about Micah Parsons, besides him being an amazing football player, was that he, in between the ears, there was questionable character. There was questionable, football knowledge. Micah Parsons is calling the plays on the Dallas Cowboys, and he's playing lights out right now. So the excuses for Jamin Davis only playing 13 plays, I can't hear him. He's got to play all 40 plays a game, at least.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. I mean, we're seeing a guy who, like, all right, we're having struggles on defense. We're having a rough patch and it's surrounding our secondary. Why not get our guys up to speed who we know are going to be the future of the position? Like, we're
Yeah,
going to struggle regardless. Cole Holcomb is not the answer. And so when we don't have our guys like Jamin Davis out there, regardless if he's going to struggle or not, it's not going to hurt him to be out there getting experience if he plays 20 snaps. But
yeah,
playing 13 snaps, playing 10 snaps, playing these snaps that we've seen him, that's not advantageous to the team and it's not advantageous to his development. Listen, like, I'm not the coach, right? And I'm far from a defensive guru like you brought up at the linebacker position. But it just seems like it's almost like they're trying to do this to allow themselves to win versus trying to develop a team, which Ron Rivera has never done very well with.
yeah,
Like, he has a very, very tough time outside of like Luke Kuechly, who, was a phenomena. Like, he not only has issues developing guys, but he also has issues with retaining and having trust with his studs on defense and along the other positions. But it's just very, very frustrating to see yet another failed attempt to develop some of these young players that we've had that we think can actually be studs. I mean, Sewell Cravens was on track, like looked like he could be a stud. We couldn't develop him right. We had Brian Anderson, who we thought could end up being a stud. We couldn't develop him right. And that's not this current coaching staff. This is just over the years how, unless it's a player like Chase Young, which, I mean, hasn't looked good so far, we have struggled to develop guys who have potential to be studs into studs. And
yeah.
it's just getting more and more frustrating as we watch it, continue to progress. It's like, how can we get just below average of what the player should be? How can we underachieve developing this guy? And it's like, okay, here we go.
I mean, every single year Baltimore loses how many players in free agency, and it
Yeah.
is just rinse and repeat and rinse and repeat, and they just next man up. I mean, I listen to every single press conference, from the Redskins player, Washington football team players, and they say, "Oh, it's always next man up. It's next man up." No, it's not. The Baltimore Ravens are the epitome of next man up, and they do it every single year. And I'm with you. I mean, St. Juice only played 12 plays as well, which is you had 6 secondary guys on the field 90% of the time this weekend, and St. Juice plays 12 plays. I mean, that means McCain, Curl, and Collins all got 40 plays plus each. I just don't think that's our best look as a defense.
Yeah. It's, somewhat embarrassing to an extent. All right. So let's go ahead. And by the way, Benjamin St. Just did get burned on that one, but we'll move on from that.
Again, he's going to get burned.
He's
I
going
still
to. It's
want
going to
him to
happen.
play.
It's going to happen.
This is the same thing as what you say with Jamin Davis.
Jamin Davis isn't getting burned.
No, he's missing tackles and he can't get off blocks. Yeah, that's the same Jamin Davis.
All right, so let's go ahead and let's move on to this upcoming game because we have the two worst defenses in the NFL going head to head with Washington football team and the Kansas City Chiefs. And yeah, it could end up being a shootout. Like, maybe Heineke plays better than what he did last week and completes 60% of his balls instead of like 49%. It's a tough matchup, obviously, but this is our opportunity to actually show that our offense can do something, question mark. It's how are you feeling about this matchup? Because if our defense continues to step up and continues to progress as we hope they would progress, not as they have been progressing, but as they hope they would progress, are we going to feel like this could be that make or break game? Or is this going to be the game where it's like, we are screwed. Like, we don't have a chance as a defense to finish in the top half of the league. Our defense really is that bad. I know we're going up against Patrick Mahomes, but at some point we have to draw the line, and that line feels like it was drawn up against the Saints. But can we have a comeback if we play well? Like, can we have a whole different vibe? If we end up feeling like the Saints, I mean, the Chiefs, like, can get contained to an extent, which really no team outside of the Bills has been able to show that.
Not only did the Buffalo Bills play lights out, and the Buffalo Bills defensively, they have a good front four. They have really good linebackers, and they have a great secondary. We have a really good front four. Okay. The Bills did a great job of getting Mahomes off the field. Mahomes one wasn't on against Buffalo this week. He had multiple throws where he had Kelsey wide open, he had Tyreek Hill wide open. For some reason, when he plays Washington this week, he's not going to miss those throws. We saw that with Josh Allen week 3, where Josh Allen was, he doesn't look like Josh Allen. And then all of a sudden, Josh Allen's an MVP candidate. Mahomes isn't missing those throws. I'd like to go back and count how many penalties Kansas City had in situations where it was 3rd and 6, 3rd and 9, scenarios where Kansas City can take advantage of a defense that set them back. Those penalties aren't going to happen against Washington. Yes, Buffalo played really well, but they also got breaks from Kansas City, which we're not going to get. I'm not even going to count on those breaks whatsoever. Kansas City fumbles a kick return. That's not going to happen against us. You know what I mean? Kansas City got into a hole and they weren't able to get back out of it because Buffalo's a good football team. We're not that good of a football team, and we're not going to get the breaks that Buffalo got. Mahomes is going to be on. He's going to hit his receivers, and he's going to make our defense look like crap. Chris Jones is going to play this week. He didn't play against Buffalo last week. And, he's going to put pressure on Heineke just like Cam Jordan did, and he's going to throw 2 terrible interceptions. And, it's not going to be that game where we say, oh, yeah, we got a chance. No, this is going to be we're 2-4. We've got who right after that? Is Green Bay the following week?
Green Bay's the following week.
Yeah, good luck. I think we could beat Green Bay just for some stupid. We'll beat one of those teams, but we're not beating Kansas City this week. No chance in heck.
Oh man, well, this is tough because I was hoping maybe we come in, we can get some pressure on Mahomes, get some sack, get some turnovers because Mahomes has been somewhat. He's had 10 dangerous plays. He's had 9 interceptable passes. Maybe we can get some turnovers. We can feel good walking out of this. But it's tough. I mean, we're looking at pressure completion percentage. He's 12th in the NFL. He's completing 45.9% of his pressured completion balls, which is great. Clean pocket completion percentage, if we can't get pressure on him, 74.7%. It's tough. It's going to be a tough matchup, and we struggle with penalties, especially working off play action fakes, and they run one of the best play actions in the NFL.
And it blows my mind too because they don't run the ball that well, and the good thing is Clyde Edwards had hit the IR, but Damian Williams will go pop 100 on us real quick this week out of nowhere.
We'll all be in the receiving game because we actually do well up against the running backs in the ground. But, I was thinking there was hope, and I'm sitting there and I'm looking like, okay, deep ball completion percentage. He's 23rd in the NFL. He's only completing 33% of his deep balls so far this year. And then I'm like, wait, this is probably a get-right game for Patrick Mahomes and the deep balls. He could end up completing like 70% against us in our blown coverages this week. It's so bad.
They can get pressure, but Mahomes, he escapes the pocket so well. Even Buffalo got pressure on him, but how many rushing yards did he have against Buffalo this week? 70?
Yeah, I don't have that number in front of me right now. He had
it was
61.
Like yeah.
61.
Okay. He's going to create, you know what I mean? And there's no way they're going to have 2 if New Orleans can have, with no receivers whatsoever, have 3 60-yard plays, what is Tyreek Hill going to do?
I don't want to talk about it.
Mecole Hardman. I mean, I can't see this even remotely being close.
We have to stop the deep ball. That's the number one thing. We have to stop the deep ball this week.
You've been saying that we are arguably one of the worst deep ball teams in the last, it's not going to happen. We're not going to do it against the Chiefs.
Maybe we don't have any blown coverages because that's where we struggle.
The Saints only have one thing outside of Alvin Kamara, and that's the deep ball. And we gave it up like John Gruden's emails.
God, stop. Oh, my God. Yeah, okay. Washington is I guess we're actually okay up against deep ball, but, I mean, it's not – it's because our pace of play is so damn slow. Yeah, I don't like it.
I mean, we have to offensively to help our defense out. We have to run the football. We have to run the football well. We need to keep the ball out of Mahomes' hand all game long. Dink and dunk with JD McKissick again. You got to keep it out of his hands, and that's. I mean, even like when he got the ball the first drive, Buffalo got lucky. He took the ball right down the field on him, and they got lucky. They ended up kicking a field goal because of penalties. The second drive, Kansas City gets the ball, and they fumble on the kickoff. Buffalo gets the ball back. Kansas City gets it again. They drive right down the field and score a touchdown. So I don't know. I just
I'm nervous.
They can hang 50 on us easy.
I'm nervous about Jarrett McKinnon. I'm very nervous about Jarrett McKinnon. This guy's a speedster, and we don't have speed from our linebackers, so we're gonna struggle to cover him. And honestly, in order for us to win, like we're gonna have to have Antonio Gibson having like a signature like blowout game like he had up against Dallas in 2020. We're going to have to see 3 touchdowns from. We're going to have to see 120 yards. We're going to have to see 6 yards per carry. We're going to have to see him continue to get first downs. And that's going to be the only way that we can actually pull out a win is by keeping our defenders off the field, not on the field, trying to prevent these big plays. Absolutely. So that's the recipe for success. That's about all I got in terms of us being able to beat them. We're not going to be able to win in a shootout. We're going to have a very slow pace play and have continuous first downs. It makes it even tougher without having Logan Thomas, to actually have that approach. But hopefully Ricky Seals-Jones offers us a little bit of that relief in terms of the 3rd and 8s, 3rd and 7s. These plays that we have not been succeeding with. So,
I mean, that's the bad thing is because, we came into the season and said we have weapons. They're all injured right now. We have no weapons whatsoever. And, 2 weeks ago, we were like, oh, we're healthy. We're great. We're in great shape. We are decimated. Who knows who's not going to play this week? And, we want to see Gibson go for 120, but he's not healthy either. Oh, man.
Woosah, Mark. Woosah.
I know. But Cosme looked good for the time that he played this week again. I wish he wasn't the only. I wish he wasn't the only rookie that's having success for us right now.
I'll let you have that one. All right, Mark, we're gonna get out of here. I got to go pack. Flying to California in the morning to go meet up with Trophy Smack, which I'm very excited about.
Nice, man.
So yeah, gonna pack up all my stuff and get out of here. So I need to get off this show. Go to let everybody know where to find you, Mark.
You can find me, guys, at Twitter at Mark Rao.
And you guys can go check out all of our content over there at fantasyintervention.com. Once again, that's fantasyintervention.com. Go check out our YouTube page while you're here as well. youtube.com/fantasyintervention. Go hit subscribe. And yeah, we have some things in the works for this show. We might be making a little bit of a transition, a little bit of a pivot to get more Washington focused and create our own little thing over there. So we're excited to move on with that. Make sure you guys stay tuned and go follow us on Twitter so you guys can get the latest updates as to where we're going. Listen, we appreciate you guys for tuning in. Make sure y'all go check out Shane and Jacob tomorrow night, youtube.com/fantasyintervention. The show will be at 9 o'clock Eastern time, youtube.com/fantasyintervention. Thank you guys for listening, and thank you all for letting us intervene with your Washington football team life? ? Yeah, Washington football team life. We're out.